All right, and that is a reminder for me. We will be recording this information session tonight. So if you need to leave at any point, we'll be sending out the recording to the roster afterwards in the next few days. So you will be able to reference this meeting and sort of remind yourself of any information that you may have missed. All right. All right, so again, welcome. We're going to go over some of the basics for the year-long writing project tonight. We have two cohorts starting this June 2026 in poetry and in fiction. So we'll be going over sort of the basics of what these cohorts entail, what they ask of you throughout the year, who your teaching artists are. We'll be hearing from your teaching artists, Michael Kleber-Diggs and Junauda Petrus, in about 10-15 minutes as well. And then we'll go over some of the logistics, registration, payment details, and finally have some time for Q&A, either with myself about the program or with Michael and Junauda about their teaching and their plans for the year. So first, I just want to start out with a little bit about the Loft. So we are now entering the 51st, 52nd year of existence here, which is a big milestone for us. The Loft's mission is to advance the power of writers and readers to craft and share stories, to create and celebrate connections, and to build just, life-sustaining communities. We envision a world where the power of the word liberates minds, deepens relationships, and inspires movements for people and planet. As an anti-racist organization, the Loft develops programs, services, and events for writers, readers, and storytellers because racism dehumanizes people, and stories and verse reconnect us to our shared humanity. Recognizing the relationship between race, power, and resources, we prioritize the engagement of BIPOC and marginalized communities and the work for equitable distribution of our power and resources. And so the year-long writing project, I think, is a big part of that mission, big part of our goals, as we continue to strengthen our practice and connections with the community. Right. And if for any reason I cut out, or if you're unable to hear or see when I'm presenting tonight, I'll rely on you all to let me know, give me some sort of sign, because as we all know, Zoom can be Zoom. So we'll just have to work with it. All right, so a little bit about the program overview for the year-long writing project. This year we have Michael Kleber-Diggs and Junauda Petrus. Michael Kleber-Diggs will be leading a poetry collection project beginning in June. And Junauda Petrus will be leading a fiction writing project also beginning in June, running through April of 2027, so about a year from next month. The program is for any writer of any skill level, from beginners to those who consider themselves advanced. So to that end, there will be people in the program who are starting from scratch with little to no experience with writing and workshop process, as well as people who may have already written a book or two, or who have an advanced degree in writing and feel they are, already pretty adept at the writing craft. And we feel this is a strength of the program. It's designed to meet writers where they are at and to guide them through the process of writing, revising, and completing their manuscripts through that structure, through that community learning, through that mentorship, and acknowledgement of each individual writer's artistic achievement in whatever their goal may be. So the program is really built to give that sense of community, give that sort of external sense of motivation. If you're someone who really needs that, give that push to carve out the time in your life. And all of that is supported with a sort of final public reading and capstone at the end of the program. If you want to check out what that public reading looks like for a cohort that is finishing up soon, please feel free to register for those public readings on our website on that event page. You probably saw them when you were signing up for this. Those will be next month. And those are some of my favorite events here at the Loft. I love hearing what people do, what they end up with after a year with us. They're a lot of fun. So again, just to reiterate, the year-long writing project is not an application-based program. meaning you do not have to submit a work in progress in order to be considered for admittance based on your accomplishment or the significance of your creative work. Um, what we do instead is we require a one-on-one meeting between yourself and your cohort mentor, your teaching artist, that takes place before the program orientation so that you both have the opportunity to talk about your writing project, your needs as a writer, ensure that the program is a good fit for both of you, that the teaching artist feels they can provide value to you throughout the year, and that you feel that, this is going to be a good fit as a mentor for me. All right. Each of the cohorts also come, besides class time, come with a few extra details about the way that they're structured. So, in general, we have the year broken out into three different chunks. So, for the summer start cohorts, you'll be beginning with a shorter, um, 8 class long period over the summer, so once a week. Michael Kleber-Diggs, for example, will be Wednesday nights once a week. There will be a short break between summer and fall, and then you'll do a 12-week long period for fall, have a short break, and then do a 12-week long period for winter/spring, again, finishing up in April. Um, each of those meetings will be about 3 hours long. And outside of those meetings, you will also have one-on-one meetings with your mentor throughout the year, a beginning meeting, a final manuscript consultation session, and also a few check-in meetings throughout the year, usually during those seasonal breaks, in order to check in on your work, make sure you're making the progress that you want to be making, all of that good stuff. Um, you will also have visiting authors, publishers, agents, and editors uh, throughout the year, about 4 or 5 of those. Your teaching artists will be letting you know a little bit more about those when they pop in to give their little spiels here about their cohorts. Um, Again, the manuscript consultation session, final public reading. Um, and then you'll have as well some cross-programming opportunities. So, year-long writing project is kind of an all-consuming program while you're in it, but it's still a Loft program, and you're still a Lofty. So we encourage our year-long writing project writers to come and be a part of our writing community and other events that we do. Um, the Loft does all sorts of stuff. So whether this is your first experience with us or whether you're experienced, these may look familiar or not. But later this month we have a mentor series reading with a mentor series mentor. This is an awards program we do for up and coming writers. And so these are great readings to come to sort of build out your craft and build out your knowledge of what's out there in the literary world. We have our spring student reading. This is where our students from our adult classes throughout the year come and show us what they've been working on throughout the year. Um, One of my favorites, the Youth Anthology release party in December. We have our kiddos age 6 to 18 submitting work for our printed and published anthology throughout the year. They come and do a reading, a signing of the anthology in December. It's lovely. I love it. So just stuff like this, we always encourage our cohorts to come out there and be a part of our community in whatever capacity you have, as time and distance allows. Um, Again, for calendar dates, we're looking at a Saturday, June 6th start for Junauda and a Saturday, June 13th start for Michael Kleber-Diggs. Those will switch over to Wednesdays shortly after and remain on Wednesdays for Michael throughout the rest of the year. And I want to say off the top of my head, Tuesdays for Junauda, it could be Thursdays. The T's always trip me up there. One thing to note about the schedule is although you will have a sort of schedule throughout the year, and that's on our website for you to look at. You also have to expect significant time spent outside the program working on this as well. So, that's looking like budgeting time outside of class for reading and writing, your own work, but then reading and writing and commenting on your peers' work for workshop as well. And so that's a really big thing I like to highlight is Yes, there's a class time, but there's also the commitment outside of class to make sure that you're giving all of your peers' work the same attention that they are giving yours. Um, we do evaluations twice throughout the year to check in on you and how you're doing in the program. And, we try and adjust if need be throughout the year. Um, and then again, leading up to the final capstone reading in April. All right. So, from past alumni of the program, Leah Sherman, who was in a past poetry cohort, had some of this to say. And again, I'll be sending these slides out, this recording out. I know this is a lot of text, maybe to listen to, so I'll just highlight some of it. So when we asked Leah, what her experience in the year-long writing project was so far, she let us know that the program provided structure, community, and momentum for my writing. It offers both learning opportunities and space to create, deepening my understanding of poetry as well as my own writing. It's positive and supportive while still challenging me with new ideas and approaches. Um, when we asked, what did you think about when you were applying? Leah noted that I had to decide if I could commit the amount of time it would require, whether giving up time with my family was worth the trade-off, and whether I thought I would gain things from the program that I couldn't achieve on my own. And so I think that's a really smart thing to consider. What are you looking to get out of the program that the Loft can give you that maybe you couldn't do on your own? And that's going to be different for every single writer, for every single person who comes through. Um, when I asked Leah, how her writing benefited from the program, she said, imposing structure and deadlines on my writing has encouraged me not only to write more, but also to edit and organize my poems. It has absolutely made me more accountable to my own writing and studying of poetry. I don't think that without the structure of the program, my manuscript would be where it is today. Um, we also may have a short video from a current participant coming through. And while we hear from our teaching artist, I will see if I can get that up and running for us. Oh, sorry, one moment. All right. Speaking of hearing from our teaching artists, I would love to turn it over to Junauda. I think I saw her pop in here. Yeah, there she is. Perfect. Junauda Petrus is a writer, pleasure activist, filmmaker, and performance artist born on Dakota land of Black Caribbean descent. Her work centers around wildness, queerness, Black diasporic futurism, ancestral healing, sweetness, shimmer, and liberation. Her debut novel, The Stars and the Blackness Between Them, earned a Coretta Scott King honor. She is also the 2025-2026 Minneapolis Poet Laureate. Um, Janata, whenever you feel ready, please feel free to take it away. I know that you know what to do. Oh, I can't hear you.
Hey y'all.
There you
Yeah,
go.
can you hear me? Okay, good. Yeah, it says my internet connection is unstable. I'm at the Loft Literary Center. Hi everybody. I wonder if I should come back to where you are, Jack, because I'm in the
You,
front.
yeah, Janata, if you want to come into the offices, you're absolutely welcome to. I might have to
All
run
right.
out and get you real quick.
Yeah, 1 second.
All right, everyone, hold tight for one moment. I will screen share again for some useful information for you about Janata's cohort description. And I will be right back to help get Janata inside here.
Were there specific things I should speak to? I know there probably was. I'm just all.
What do you always do?
Okay.
Also, it might be easier if you go out there so we don't
I think with Jake.
yeah, so we don't sound pollute each other.
Oh, cute. I like this. I like that.
All right, we found Janata. We're good to go. And hi, Michael. It's good to see you
Hello.
too. Um, Once Nada's done describing her cohort, Michael, you'll be up next, and I can introduce you to at that time.
Oh, Michael should go first because he's more seasoned, a teacher, and I feel like he'll say things that will remind me about things to say. And he's an Aries for all my
I am.
astrology friends.
Hmm.
I
All
like
right,
to go
Michael.
first.
Well, I can introduce you then, Michael, too, as well
Okay.
with your
Sorry, Jack. I
bio.
didn't mean to hijack the conversation.
No, please. All right, let me share one more time here. All right, so Michael Kleber-Diggs. Michael Kleber-Diggs is the author of Worldly Things, which won the Max Ritvaux Poetry Prize, the 2022 Hefner Heights Kansas Book Award in Poetry, the 2022 Valkens Poetry Prize, the 2021 Poetry Centered Book Award, and was a finalist for the 2022 Minnesota Book Award. His essay on the complex flavors of Black joy is included in the anthology There's a Revolution Outside My Love, Letters from a Crisis, edited by Tracy K. Smith and John Freeman. Another essay, There Was a Tremendous Softness, appears in a darker wilderness, Black Nature Writing from Soil to Stars, edited by Aaron Sharkey. His poems and essays often explore themes of intimacy, community, empathy, and grace, and practices he believes are distinct and interdependent. Among other places, Michael's writing has appeared in Literary Hub, Orion Magazine, Poem a Day, Poetry Daily, Poetry Northwest, Alaska Quarterly Review, Sierra Magazine, Los Angeles Review of Books, Post Road Magazine, Great River Review, Waterstone Review, The Under Review, and several other journals and anthologies. He has taught poetry and creative writing at the university level and through the Minnesota Prison Writing Workshop for more than 10 years. I'm so happy to introduce you, Michael.
Well, thank you. I always feel like I don't even know a sense of shyness when the bio's being read. Um, I'm grateful for that. Uh, Jack, take a break, drink some water. That was a lot. Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be with you. I'm really excited also to be teaching through this program. I think it's transformational. I remember when I first heard about it, I thought it was a really great idea. In fact, the first year they did it, Dinesh was the mentor. I had not published a book yet, and I gave very, very, very serious thought to taking it because that goal, working from a foundation of poems and trying to find a way to put them together into a cohesive and coherent manuscript was really important to me. Since that time, I've had a poetry book out in the world. It has meant a lot to me. A lot of what it has meant can't really be quantified, but I write about things that are important to me, and having an opportunity to share those things with other people has meant a lot. As a teacher in this program in particular, I'm really energized by supporting people who are thinking about book length projects. My hope is that everyone who's a part of it and everyone who's part of the poetry cohort will do a few things: advance significantly on a book that they're working on, support other people who are in the program doing the same, that will form a cohort, that will form a community, that will share encouragement and ideas with each other. And that collective energy will allow people to go far and make progress and put a book together and send it out in the world. That's what I'm super energized by. I'm also energized by working with people where they are, by meeting with them individually and sharing ideas that are specific to the things that they want to talk about, to the aspects of poetry that they are most interested in, craft or form or canon or whatever is kind of showing up there. Uh, I like the idea of working on the part of the book I think that we don't always give a lot of consideration to, but ends up in the poetry world taking a lot of time and energy. That's arranging the collection, finding the through lines and the themes, thinking about whether a book should be in sections or not. Also thinking about what our hopes for are when we're done. Where do we want to send it? Where do we hope it will land? How do we position it for publication and things along those lines? I have, at the urging of my good friends at the Loft, reached out to poets to ask if they might be interested in joining us as guest speakers. I have a yes from Haley Kirkwood, who is an Indigenous poet I admire a great deal. I have a yes from Sarah Ghazal Ali, whose book Theophanies was a finalist for the Minnesota Book Award last year. I have a guest from Paula Krzyzewski, whose book is a finalist for the Minnesota Book Award this year. Paula is also um, a and she has her own press. And my hope is that she'll also talk a little bit about what she thinks about when she's making a decision about whether she wants to publish a collection or not, how she makes that decision, what kinds of books percolate to the top for her. And I've written out to a couple of other people as well. I'm hoping that I'll run into my friend Camille Dungy in Baltimore tomorrow. Uh, and I'm trying to stay real humble. This is our first meeting. I don't want you to get the wrong idea, but I also do have her phone number, so we could text about it if it comes down to it. And so I also wanted to kind of reach out and, you know, see if she would join us as well. So I'm excited about having people come in and talk about their journey as poets. I'd love the idea of connecting to people who have insight into how books get published and can share ideas with us along those lines. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to building a team together. Last thing that I want to share is in my teaching life, among the things that I get to do and among my favorite things to get to do is work with grad students, typically at Augsburg and Hammond, but also at the University of Minnesota on their thesis projects. And that is, they've been in the program, they've been writing poems, they've been finding how their voice shows up in poetry, and they're starting to put all those things together into one thing. And over the years, sharing ideas with people, talking to them about their projects and their aspirations, making edits and recommendations, and having a book result from that, a thesis project, a book that they can start to send out for publication consideration has been among the things I like the most about being a teacher. So a year with me would be one where we talk a lot about how we work together, where we talk a lot about voice and poetics, where we write poems and read poems and share ideas with each other on the things that we're writing and reading, where we work together in community, where we support each other and help everyone maximize the potential of their book length project. I know the program also includes opportunities to meet individually, and that means a lot to me too. Those one-on-one sessions are opportunities to connect with individual people on the specific things that they want to do. We can travel far as a group, and it's also wonderful to have an opportunity to talk to people about the specific thing that they're working on. So I think those are the things. Jack, are there other ideas that you have for me, other things that you want me to touch on?
No, I think that's great. You nailed it on your first try.
Okay, good, good, good.
If you are open to folks contacting you with questions, we can put your email in the chat, but if you want those to come through us, that is a-okay as well. Um,
I am open to people contacting with me with questions. And I'm just gonna let you know right now, we just wrapped up midterms and we're heading into spring break season, so I'll have some pretty good capacity. But as we get further into March, it might take me a little bit of time. So if you write to me, I'd also CC the Loft, and they can be my accountability buddies to make sure getting responses out in a timely fashion.
Happy to do so. And thank you again, Michael, for the cohort description.
Sure.
So much looking forward to it. We'll circle back around to Q&A after we hear
Okay.
from Junauda and do some of the logistics so that you both have an opportunity to answer any questions if folks have them.
I'm going to go on
Um,
mute so that if I go, or start clapping, it won't interfere with your presentation.
Me as well. Junauda, I'll turn it over to you.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Michael, for going first. Michael's been a teacher in this program longer. And I just feel like you always have a way of grounding things beautifully and reminding me of things. So thank you for jumping on the call and then jumping on to your explanation. Yeah, this is will be my second cohort, and I've really loved teaching in this program. I was nervous initially to teach because I think so much of my way of being a writer, a lot of it is self-taught, a lot of it is like I haven't had a lot of formal training as a writer. Um, but I think that also grounds me in how I want people to feel very trusting in the fact that whatever ways they come to the page, whatever styles, whatever things that sort of flow out of them is sacred and good. Like a lot of how I approach this class is wanting to help people begin a process of healing any wounds they have around being a writer, any ways that they have felt limited. I think so much of being a writer is being hyper vulnerable in all of these ways. And I know that a lot of us are shaped in our writing through school and academia, which often can take away the juiciness and the like pleasure and the whimsy and sort of the ways that our creativity wants to find us and trusts us to guide it into fruition. So with this program, I really want people to feel that fiction, or the way I think about fiction is like it's an opportunity to create worlds. It's a way to process your own interior world, to create community through your characters, create family, give them drama, give them magic, give them, a journey. And I think that, again, like stories are a place that we channel from our own interior magic as well as different realms, ancestor stories. So, like, what containers of our lives do we need to set up so that we could be the fullest receptor of what it is that we're here to create? Um, and individually, as a teacher, I really want folks to feel connected with the vastness of their own creative practice, their inspirations. I want y'all to think about nature, music, your ancestry, movement, embodiment. Like, I think so much of my creative practice, even as a writer, comes from a background in theater and circus and dance and puppetry, like all these things that forced me to be in my body, to be taking risks, to be cringe, as the youth would say. But like I think through these processes allowed me to be brave with what I wanted to share and also allow my body to be included in sharing my wisdom, what is coming through. It's not just I think so much of how the Western world and the colonial kind of mentality really prioritizes how our wisdom comes from the neck up. And I think with writing, I really encourage writers to be like, you are a whole body. There's stories in every part of your body. So in classes, we'll do things around mindfulness, around embodiment. Um, I want folks to feel like they can explore different genres to kind of see, not necessarily to be like, oh, if you're writing straight fiction, which I think is so like, what is straight fiction? They call it straight. Do we ever like to do things straight, Anywho. But like I feel like, but I love adding speculative. I love, I'm also a poet. I'm also do screenwriting and playwriting. Like I think there's a lot of ways different genres can influence a big work. And I think having published one novel and I'm completing two novels that are duology, and I have so many ideas for novels. And I really do think novels are kind of this magical relationship that you commit to because it's not a thing. Like a poem is like a fling. If we're no shade, Michael. Not saying that your artworks are flings, one night stands, cavorting. Just kidding.
I'm not saying they're not.
So as a person that, but I do feel like with poems, like poems are a thing where I'm like, I'm having an emotional experience, I'm having a vivid kind of feeling, and I could, do it in that sort of push and then work with what comes through. And I think novels are kind of like having to do that in multiple ways, multiple times, and create constellations and finding like my editor Andrew Carr says, like, how to make your writing into a book-shaped thing. So a lot of how I approach it with my students is I want them to focus on just writing as much as possible and setting up again the conditions so they can write as much as possible. I have found with my own writing projects, whenever I've been like, I'm gonna complete my book in a year, or I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna be on an artist residency for a month and I'm gonna write 50,000 words. And it's like all of these like things that like then kind of activate this part of myself that moves away from the magic of what I think writing a novel is, which is to get lost in a world and truly be in that world enough that you can convey it and convince it on the page. And I think a lot of that comes from, especially with this year-long project, being like, all right, for this year, what commitments do you need to make to yourself? What ways does your lifestyle need to change? What homie's gonna be like, homie, I know you like to pull up and kiki after work. This ain't gonna be going on for this year. Like I really am prioritizing myself as a writer. And these are things that me as a writer, I had to learn to do. And it won't be forever. Like it really is like going into, the laboratory. It's like going into, I don't know where wizards hang out, but where the wizards hang out. Like you have to go into the wizard cave with yourself. And I think really giving yourself that validation and affirmation of doing that. So in class, other things that like I mean I kind of do all a variety of things. So I said I do the mindfulness, I do the embodiment. We talk about craft, we talk about artistic practice a lot. That's like very much where a lot of it is because I think with novels you just have to be writing for so long that it's kind of like a marathon. Not that I've ran one, but it's like you really have to get used to running a lot all the time. And I think that's how novels, at least for me, work. And even with that being said, thinking about how do you make your life that if you have 10 minutes to write, if you got 20 minutes to write, if you got an hour to write, like how do you make space and show up for your project when you don't have ideal conditions? And I have tools for that. Um, I, when it comes to workshopping and providing feedback, I very much ground in what the writers need. Like I'm like, if you are very curious about how the dialogue and the dialect and the language of your piece is moving. You know what I mean? Like we could focus on that. If you want to think about the structure of the work, character development, whatnot, like I really want whatever feels important to you about your work and what it is that you're trying to allow, what you want people to feel and move away from, that you're able to ground your, cohort and colleagues in that. And for it to be intentional and specific and supportive and strategic. Um, I've been a part of a lot of different workshop spaces where, people don't have a sense of like clarity about like, well, what is it that I want to get out of it? And sometimes it could add to the sense of, you know, um, anxiety around the project. So I very much grounded in that. I have found that this particular cohort, my first year, I really was so happily surprised at how beautifully everybody got cool with each other. Um, I think these novels are very intimate parts of everybody's lives. Like, I think everybody so earnestly wants to bring these stories to Earthside and want it to be um, whatever it is they want it to be. And I think it's been beautiful to see that even though everybody's projects are very different, there's also so many ways that they intertwine in relatability and connection, and seeing how people create that space of supporting each other, learning from each other. Um, it's a very diverse cohort, like, racially, gender-wise, age-wise, experience-wise. Somebody had their MFA, other people, are switching genres and attempting something novel-like for the first time. And I loved how everybody was very clear on how everybody was learning from folks and supporting each other. And so yeah, I think for me, I really love this particular process because I'm a person that loves nerding out. I love nerdery. I love nerderies of all arrays. Academia ain't for me. Academia isn't for everybody. And I think that this is a way to get all them juicy fruits and flavors of academia without all that aftertaste. We don't need it. So I think it's like, yeah, like come in there, come with your project, come with your community. Like I have my students work on their own syllabus. Like, what is a syllabus you want for yourself, that lives in this project? Um, and I like fun. I like things to be fun and juicy and playful. And I very like, I'm about that business. I'm about that business, but I also love that my students and myself look forward to coming into class and being with each other and doing all of these reflective things. So, yeah. Sorry if that was too long. I don't know how time works,
I
but I'm
think you
here.
did great.
I'm still here. Here.
No, I think that was really helpful. Thank you so much, Nada. And if you think of any other thoughts you want to share as I do the last bit here, feel free to chime in. Um, I will just again be going through the last little bit of info, and then if anyone has questions to ask Michael, Junauda, or myself, feel free to do so. So just be brainstorming here for the next 5 minutes. I will be putting in the chat real quick a catalog that has a lot of the information we've gone over tonight, kind of laid out nicely, that you can keep for your own records. It also has links to a bunch of the places on the website that are helpful and or important. So again, that is in the chat. It looks like it's trying to upload. It's getting there. Um, I will share my screen for the last bit of logistical info here. All right. So just to introduce you to our team members again, my name is Jack. I'm the education manager. That was back when my hair was much longer than it is now. So we're getting there again. Michaela Owen is our education coordinator, and same with John Wynn, who is the partnerships coordinator. The three of us are really here to support you and your cohort throughout the year with any questions that you have. About logistics, about the calendar, about Zoom being funky, anything like that. We'll also be here to help you throughout the entire registration process. And Nikhil and John especially um, will be really running that show. Um, all right. So for some of the brass tacks nitty-gritty here, the cost of the program overall is $7,500. And there is a friend of the loft tier that's a little bit less than that as well. There's a couple ways to pay that. There is a payment plan, where you can split that up throughout the course of the year. You can kind of rip off the Band-Aid, do it all at once. We also have access funds available. So there is one access fund spot per cohort, and that's sort of a different track to get into the access fund program than it is the regular registration process. And I have a handy dandy infographic this time around to help guide us through those two registration tracks. Um, Let's see here. All right. So for general public, what you want to do to register, starting April 8th and 9th. April 8th is for Friends of the Loft, and then April 9th registration will open for Friends of the Public or Friends of the Loft to the general public. You can put your name down on a wait list on the website. And from that wait list, Loft staff will connect everyone with the teaching artists, Michael and Janata here, to do that initial one-on-one meeting. Um, and from there, we will help you after your one-on-one meeting. We'll help you get registered. We'll go over your payment terms, do all that fun stuff, and get you hooked into the cohort. If you want to apply for the Access Fund spot, which is over 95% discount off of that 7,500, that is a different process. Instead of going to the Loft website, you'll go to our submittable. You'll apply through the submittable, which will ask a few short questions. It'll ask for some writing samples. It'll ask about your background. Um, from there, the Access Fund Committee will work with the cohort mentor to narrow down to some finalists. Those Access Fund finalists will speak with a teaching artist, and then we'll choose a one spot from those finalists to get registered for the cohort. And then everyone sort of meets back up in the cohort for registration or for orientation and to begin your classes. And when you go to Submittable, this is the link that you'll want. Um, the sort of screenshot link on the bottom, this is what you are looking for. Make sure you apply to the Summer Start Year-Long Writing Project Access Fund application. There is a separate submittable application for our just regular adult class Access Fund pool. That is not what you want. We have a separate application just for year-long writing project access funds. It's pretty confusing. So that's why we have the infographic. That's why we have us. So you can ask questions too, if you need to. And again, registration for general public will go live for the website April 8th and 9th. The Access Fund window to apply starts today, actually, and that'll close on April 7th. So the day before registration for general public opens is when Access Funds applications close. And I'm happy to answer questions about that process because, again, it is pretty complex. Um, that being said, that's sort of the last of the registration details I have. And I'm happy to answer questions here if anyone has any for us. You can feel free to put them in the chat, or you can just unmute and speak up and ask as well. All right, we might have a shy bunch here.
I
You
have a
could also
question.
just ask questions about life. If you got questions
Yeah.
about life or family, you don't got to do about this program. We're here anyway.
My question
Um,
is, can I teach a class and also take Junauda's class?
You know, I don't think it's ever been attempted before, but we could
Yes,
try it
I will
out.
make an example of you. I will make an example of you. Just kidding. Yeah, I would love to have you in my class.
Maybe we'll do a combined year-long 1 year with just everyone in the same.
Jack, do you see Hetty's question in the chat?
I did just see Hetty and I saw Sarah's question as well. So Sarah asked, what if I have to miss a class? That is a great question, Sarah. So we really encourage folks to take a look at the calendars posted on the year-long website page. And also in that cohort catalog I dropped in the chat. I'll drop the website here as well. We encourage you to make as many class meetings as humanly possible for a couple of reasons. For one, you are paying a pretty significant amount for the entire year, so we hate for you to not get your time out of that. For another reason, lots of class dates will be workshops or preparing for workshops. And so we want to make sure that you are giving your fellow classmates the same time, attention, care they are giving you. If you absolutely have to miss a class, we just ask that you communicate to your teaching artist as soon as you know and work on some workarounds, what you can do to make that work up in the meantime. Um, Hetty asked if I apply for an access fund and don't get it, does that mean I am out? Also a good question, also a good clarification. So we do ask that if you are applying for access funds, that you only apply for the access fund seat if you would not be able to do the program without the access fund award. So, we ask that you don't put your name on the regular wait list and that you also do access funds. If you need access funds, just go for the access funds submission, the application. And then, yeah, unfortunately, we do only have the capacity to have one access fund spot per cohort. So if you are not selected that year, that would mean you wouldn't be able to get that award that year, but you can keep going for as many years, as many cohorts as you want, if you don't get it your first year. Um, Tegan asked how to write a capstone and not go insane. That's maybe a question for Michael or Janata.
Can I start, Janata? Yeah, I really was responding to what you shared, Janata. I think we can have these plans for our projects. Like, I'm going to go to this residency. I'm going to be gone for a month. And when I come back, I'm going to have. And projects don't work that way. Art does not work that way, creativity does not work that way, and life does not work that way. One of the things that has been helpful to me in my artistic practice, I think all the time about how, for many of us, a lot of the writing that we do is for school, or for work. I'm seeing your question in the chat also, Megan. And because that's the case, we come to writing, we can come to it with all these kind of baked in things. There's an assignment, there's a rubric, it's due at a certain time. It's going to go to a certain person, which can affect how you think about audience. It's going to be graded, which might apply some kind of pressure. And now we're in our post-academic life and we're doing things because we want to do them. And that kind of structure can be helpful. It can be helpful to say for ourselves, I want to have a chapter done by the end of the week, or I want to have a draft done by the end of the year, or any number of things along those lines, as a way to offer accountability for us. At the same time, I think it can be super helpful to spin out as much as you can from expectations that are not useful to you. If it's helpful for you to have a roadmap and to have accountability to build in that, write your morning pages or have a daily practice, you will have support in that. And if it's helpful to you to just recognize that even within daily diligence, there are going to be times when projects need a bit more contemplation or a bit more space, or you need a bit more rest, or to attend to something kind of along those lines. And I think to the extent you can do it, it's helpful not to hurry, to trust the process, to understand it'll be ready when it's ready. The program here is designed to encourage and support and provide accountability and structure and momentum and all those things. And we're going to do that part of it. And um, if you can do all that and maintain a healthy kind of balance, a healthy appreciation for how creativity tends to travel like this and not like this, I find it to be really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, as far as the capstone, I really think it's sort of guided as to what do you want to have that at the end of it you feel will propel you continuously into completing whatever novel project you set out for. Because yeah, I feel like I get more written when I'm grounded in just loving the writing and falling in love with the writing. Um, and I think for the capstone, I just encourage my students to, um, yeah, like, sort of think about what it is they want to have completed. It could be several great drafts of chapters. Like, I got my book deal for my first novel, essentially from four really polished chapters I wrote. Like, I've been working on those chapters for like 2 years. So it really allowed me to through those 2 years of refining, these chapters and these stories and these characters, the book first started off, with it was like a heterosexual, boy lead, and then it became a girl, protagonist, and then the story became queer and it became like this multi, like these between two countries, journey back and forth and love affair and yada yada yada. Um, but it took me 2 years to like make these sort of refinements that lived in these chapters. And then when I spoke and met this editor by chance, the chapters were a strong enough sort of example of what my book's world was for him to, begin a conversation around buying the book. So I like to share with my students this idea of a draft of a draft. Like you could have like 250 pages that you're like, oh my God, these are some hot mess of a pages. It's like someone looked in my hamper and it's just the draws is crazy looking. Like you could have a draft like that. Not saying that that would be you. Maybe your draft would be nice and neat and cute, you know? Or you might be like, yo, I'm going to work very steadily on really refining, 10 chapters, 15 chapters that maybe you touch in with every character, maybe you touch in with different parts of the story. Maybe you have an outline of, where you feel like the book is going to go. I think what when I think of the capstone, it really is a matter of how that you close this process so that it's the beginning to continuing whatever writing you need to do to fully complete the work to the standard of what it would need to be to send it out. And I think it's a thing to see as to be proud of yourself, to be proud of like, wow, like look at this world I've created, look at all of this effort I've put into, and to see it as an accomplishment. Even I tell my students, like, it's such a meaningful choice to choose to commit to writing for a year in such a way. It's hard to choose yourself, especially with writing, because everybody feels like, oh, you don't got to rent a studio out. You don't got to, whatever. It's like, so yeah, so I feel like, oh, hey there. But yeah, come on, come on.
Thank you, Janelle. Um, I think Heidi asked as well what the Loft membership is to apply on April 8th. Um, I see John walking by. Um, the Loft membership is $90 now, and I dropped the link in the chat to join. You can do that all at once. You can do that as a monthly sustaining friend membership, whatever would work. And again, that will get you access. You can register on April 8th or put your name on the wait list on April 8th instead of on the 9th if you're someone who's nervous about that timing. That's one of the benefits that being a friend of the Loft gives. Um, Megan Kaplan also asked, I know Michael's excited to talk about this. I am a journalist who writes poetry on the side and wants to deepen my practice for publishing. I do not have a full or published portfolio of poetry to work with, bring with me for this journey. How much writing is generated fresh this year versus an expectation that we bring our already written material with us for revision? That is an amazing question, Megan. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm grateful for that question too. I really want to set up a project model that works for people who are coming in with some poems largely ready to go, and for people who are coming in hoping to write some poems. Having kept my eye on the year-long writing project over the years, um, I really like some of the models where it's like this year we're going to write a novel or we're going to, like so I want to be able to meet people where they are. In general, a typical session for me is one where we're going to read a little, write a little, workshop a little. We're going to have guests coming in and things along those lines. But I love a classroom that's a generative space, a space where we can share ideas with each other on the things that we're making, and a space where we can be inspired by things that we're reading together. So, for sure, we'll want to read works that have been written by people who are coming to visit the class. But as we're sharing ideas with each other, other things are going to come up. I'm going to read a poem and like, oh wow, this reminds me of a C.D. Wright poem, or this reminds me of a Junauda poem about Minneapolis, and let's look at that together and explore possibilities in that way. But I want to have two models for generating work connected to what we're doing. One is time in workshop in our weekly meetings to write, and the other is encouragement outside of our weekly meetings to also do some writing. And my hope is that, Jack, is it 32 sessions total, something like that?
It is 96 hours divided by 3 sessions or 3 hours. So you can,
32.
yeah,
Um,
32.
yeah, I'd love for everyone to be able to write a poem every time we visit to get the bones of it down. And I'd also like for people to feel like they're able to write a poem between visits. Um, and maybe that's a model that helps people get to 64. And for people who have poems that are radiating on a theme or general ideas about a manuscript that they'd like to spend time putting together, that's great. We can do that. We can look at the poems that are forming that manuscript and workshop them. And I also hope that they'll continue to write, that they'll make new poems. If not for that project, for the practice of just keeping the hand going and the heart active. So I want it to be a generative space. I really kind of liked what Junauda was sharing in terms of when we convene, like those early meetings are just going to be about like what are we doing? Like what are our goals individually? What are our collective goals? What do we each need? What's going to make this year fruitful for us? And I want to be open to the possibility that some of the people will have an MFA, some of the people will be at it for a while or relatively new to it, but wanting to move forward. And that will create a setting where all of those different practitioners can come together.
I love that sentiment um, a lot. Thank you. Let's see. I think we had a couple more questions. Hetty asked, is there a registration fee as well? And the answer to that is no. There's no additional registration fee. 7,500 is quite enough. So that is the full amount. There's no sort of anything on top of that, no tax or fee included or put on top of that amount.
I have a quick question too about it sounds like this might be competitive and you just don't automatically get in. So I'm assuming that there'll be measures that the teachers will account for of who to accept or not accept.
Yeah, thank you for that question, Sarah, because that is one that we get quite a bit. So the way that registration works is pretty much a first come, first serve basis. So since we are not an academic MFA program, we're not screening for, competitiveness, anything like that. We register in much the same way as our adult regular classes. So the first 11 names put on that wait list are the first 11 names that we connect to Junauda, for example. And then if someone on that list is talking to Junauda and says, oh, actually, I think I actually want to do a memoir, not fiction, or I can't do anything throughout all of August. Maybe I'm not the best fit for this. Um, then we would move on to the next person on the wait list and keep going there. So the intention is to build a community who can really dedicate their time to each other and to approach it less like an MFA committee, going through submissions and trying to discern certain elements in writing, stuff like that. And again, happy to elaborate on that if need be, because that is a tripping point about the process. I will also add too that, it's not uncommon if you register on the wait list on April 9th, um, it's not uncommon to not hear from us for maybe a week or two while we sort of get our bearings on the wait list, get your names passed along, while our teaching artists sort of figure out their schedules and figure out how to contact you and when. Um, so we do aim to contact everyone on the wait list at the very least when everything is all said and done to say, hey, we have gone through names until we've hit 12 people in the cohort. At that point, the cohort is closed. Unfortunately, we were not able to get you in touch with the teaching artists because we received all of our registrations before then. So we will let you know if that is the case. Um, and we'll be in touch if it's not as well.
Cool.
Um,
Thank you.
yeah. I see some folks having to head out, so thank you so much for joining us, everybody. It is 5 o'clock, so we can start winding down here. Heidi also asked, how early on April 8th is it open? 10 a.m. Central Time is when our website will update. At least that is the goal. Sometimes the website is finicky, so we'll do our best. And again, I'll drop the links in the chat here. Um, to Michael's page and then to Janada's page. These pages will update with a little box that'll say, like that'll be the cohort registration page itself. It'll kind of take the place of where the information session is, that little box on those pages right now. It'll just replace that. All right, I see more people heading out. Thank you again for joining. Any last minute questions? Any last minute comments? No? All right. Well, I'll drop, if you have any other questions, you can please feel free to email Michael or Junauda if they want to put their emails in the chat. Otherwise, I just put our education email in the chat as well. You can always reach out to that email and we're happy to clarify, answer questions, anything like that. Um, Otherwise, thank you all for joining us tonight. I appreciate you spending an hour of your time with us. Um, One last opportunity to ask any last burning questions. Okay, fantastic. Thanks again, everyone. I appreciate your time, and we will talk with you soon.